Have you ever wondered how it's possible for such a fragile material, at first glance, to withstand temperatures that even deform steel? Behind every cup, plate or tile we use daily lies a huge, precise and surprisingly demanding industrial process. What starts as clay buried underground becomes, after mixing, molding, kilns reaching over 1,000 degrees, and layers of glaze, durable pieces that travel all over the world. Today, you'll discover how millions of ceramics are mass-produced without losing quality or detail. The production chain begins in mineral deposits, where clay, kaolin, feldspar and quartz are extracted. These raw materials are subjected to strict quality controls, as any impurity can alter the color, porosity or resistance of the final product. The first step involves removing the topsoil with large excavators and bulldozers. Once the mineral-rich zone is exposed, at depths generally ranging from 3 to 10 meters, workers use backhoes, motor graders or block cutters to separate the layers. The extracted blocks, often weighing several tons, are loaded onto dump trucks and transported to pre-processing areas near the mine. There, an initial crushing process is done to reduce the size of the material and facilitate the next stages. Then, powerful jets of pressurized water clean each fragment, removing sand, roots, loose soil and small stones. In the case of more delicate minerals such as kaolin or feldspar, additional washes are performed in circular filtration tanks that separate fine particles and remove iron-rich impurities, which are responsible for darkening the ceramics. After this washing, the minerals are left to air dry or are placed in low-temperature kilns before being sent to the industrial plant for transformation. When the minerals arrive at the plant, the process begins with extremely precise dosing. Each component, clay, kaolin, quartz or feldspar, is weighed according to an established formula that determines the exact proportions to obtain a stable mix suitable for the type of ceramic being produced. This stage is crucial because even the smallest variation can alter the strength, color or texture of the final product. Once each part is measured, the materials are transferred to large-capacity mixing tanks. There, with water and powerful industrial stirrers, they begin to integrate until forming a homogeneous suspension called slurry. This thick, lump-free fluid ensures that all the minerals are evenly distributed before moving on to the shaping phase. When the production line uses dry pressing, the slurry is sent to spray drying towers. In these large vertical cylinders, microscopic droplets fall through currents of hot air that quickly evaporate the water, creating a fine powder made up of tiny granules with a perfectly controlled moisture level. On the other hand, if the process is extrusion, the mixture is subjected to filter presses that remove excess water and produce compact blocks of plastic clay ready to be worked. Subsequently, both the dry granules and the wet blocks undergo a final kneading stage in equipment, such as pug mills or extruders. During this procedure, air pockets are removed and the consistency of the material is adjusted, achieving a uniform plasticity. This conditioning is essential. It ensures that, when shaping the piece, the clay holds its shape without cracking or deforming during drying or firing. Extrusion is a widely used technique to manufacture ceramic bricks, pipes, refractory pieces, and other elements with a uniform section. The plastic clay, previously kneaded, is fed into an extruder equipped with a large screw conveyor. As the screw rotates, it compresses the mixture and pushes it toward a metal die located at the end of the machine. The exact pressure allows the clay to emerge from the mold with the desired shape, creating a continuous, perfectly homogeneous column. By changing the die, different geometries can be achieved: rectangular, round, hollow, or solid. At the die outlet, experienced operators inspect the surface of the column, checking for wrinkles, cracks, or undesired slippage. Once this section is approved, the piece moves to the clay cutter, where thin steel wires or sharp blades divide the column into identical segments. Small variations in wire tension or conveyor speed can cause imperfections, so manual adjustment remains essential. Although the machinery ensures uniformity, the skill of the personnel is key to the accuracy of the thousands of pieces produced every day. After preparing the mixture and regulating its plasticity, the crucial moment arrives: shaping each piece. In factories that produce bowls, plates, and similar items, the most common method is jiggering. This process combines a rotating plaster mold and a profiled metal blade. The operator places a piece of clay in the center of the mold, and as it spins, the blade gradually and gently presses, shaping the piece in just seconds. The rotation speed, the pressure applied, and the moisture level of the material must be meticulously balanced to avoid deformities. Objects such as ornamental vases, teapots, or containers with irregular designs are usually made by casting. The process consists of pouring liquid slurry into plaster molds. Since plaster is porous, it absorbs the water and allows a solid layer of clay to adhere to the inner walls of the mold. Once the layer reaches the appropriate thickness, the excess is emptied out and the piece is left to dry until it can be unmolded without losing its shape. Although industrial production dominates, many factories still maintain areas of handcrafted work, where master potters shape the clay by hand on a wheel. With precise movements and using water to lubricate the surface, the artisan's hands guide the clay upward, creating unique curves and contours. This human touch keeps alive an ancient tradition that coexists with modern technology. Once shaped, the pieces still have a high moisture content and are too fragile to handle without risk. For this reason, they are transferred to drying chambers where the temperature, usually ranging from 60 to 120 degrees Celsius, is kept constant through ventilation systems, humidity sensors, and hot air circulation. The products are distributed on trays or shelves that allow air to flow evenly. In highly automated plants, robotic arms place and remove pieces from the conveyor belts, preventing damage and ensuring that all pieces reach the exact level of dryness before moving on to the next step. Once the pieces are dry, they enter the kiln for their first firing, known as bisque firing. This stage is not meant to harden them completely, but to remove residual structural water and burn off organic impurities. As the temperature gradually increases, the minerals begin to compact and create a solid yet still porous framework. Large factories use tunnel kilns, where the pieces slowly advance on conveyor belts through different zones, preheating, firing, and cooling. Extraction systems eliminate vapors and smoke, ensuring stable and uniform firing. Once bisque fired, the pieces move to the decoration area. In traditional workshops, expert artisans paint floral motifs, fine lines, landscapes, or calligraphy using thin brushes and mineral pigments. Each stroke is applied to the unglazed surface, creating designs that require precision and a steady hand. In modern industry, much of this process is automated. Plates and bowls are placed upside down on rotating supports, while robotic machines apply the designs through printing or programmed spraying. One of the most commonly used methods is the transfer of ceramic decals. Pre-printed patterns are applied to the piece using gentle pressure and moderate heat. Specialized workers inspect each product to ensure that the prints are aligned without wrinkles or excess ink. Glazing is one of the most decisive stages, as it defines the visual finish and impermeability of the product. Although many factories have incorporated automated systems, the traditional principle still applies, dipping the piece into a glaze bath. The glaze is a mixture of finely ground minerals suspended in water with a viscous texture that promotes an even coating. As the piece is submerged, a thin layer adheres immediately. The excess is then allowed to drip off to achieve uniform thickness. Sensors monitor the speed of immersion, the tilt angle, and the time spent in the bath. In larger or more complex objects, such as toilets or sinks, workers manually adjust the movements to avoid bubbles or uncovered areas. After glazing, the pieces are left to dry in a humidity-controlled room. This coating still appears opaque and soft to the touch. Only after the final firing will it acquire its characteristic glassy shine. In the final firing, the piece reaches its final shape. The glaze melts and integrates with the ceramic body, creating a glazed, hard, and completely waterproof surface. Temperatures can reach 2,200 to 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the type of ceramic. Industrial kilns, again tunnel type, have arched roofs that promote heat circulation and minimize deformation. Gas burners or electric resistances distributed along the kiln maintain a rigorously programmed thermal curve. Forced air systems, infrared sensors, and automatic controllers monitor each phase to prevent cold spots or overheating. When the glaze reaches its vitrification point, the surface transforms. It becomes shiny, smooth, and extremely resistant to wear. Once the products gradually cool down, they are moved to the quality control area. Here, under intense lights, technicians examine each piece for imperfections, tiny pores, glaze drips, misaligned patterns, or minimal deformations. Many factories employ combined ultrasound and laser systems. Ultrasonic waves pass through the ceramic walls and return to the sensor, allowing the thickness to be measured with impressive precision. Simultaneously, lasers generate a three-dimensional model that is compared to the ideal shape programmed into the system. If a piece shows deviations, even small ones, a robotic arm automatically removes it for reprocessing or disposal. After this inspection, the edges and bases of some pieces, especially sanitary items, are sanded or polished to ensure a safe-to-touch finish. Once the quality stage is passed, the pieces move to the packaging area. On automated lines, robotic arms place plates, bowls or tiles on conveyor belts covered with protective film. Machines wrap each product with thin foam or shrink wrap to prevent scratches and absorb vibrations during transport. Then the items are organized in boxes with dividers to prevent internal movement. For delicate or small pieces, the process remains manual. Workers wearing soft gloves place paper sheets, reinforce edges, and wrap each unit with great care. Once packaged, the boxes are sealed and labeled with a traceability code. They are then placed on pallets, secured with stretch film and metal straps, and moved by automated forklifts to the shipping containers. This combination of automation and meticulous labor ensures that even shipments with hundreds of fragile pieces arrive intact at any destination in the world. From the blocks of clay extracted from the earth to the shiny bowls, tiles, or vases we use daily, the path of ceramics is a perfect blend of tradition and technology. Each piece is a testament to human ingenuity, a reminder of how ancient processes have merged with modern machines to produce millions of units without losing quality or beauty.